Special public meeting of the Glendale City Council being held on January 17, 2023, being called to order at 4:03 p.m. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Asadrian,
Here.
Brotman,
Here.
Devine,
Here.
Najarian, here, and Mayor Kasakian.
Here. Mr. Ajemian, may we have your report?
The agenda for Tuesday, January 17, 2023, special public meeting of the City Council was posted on January 13, 2023, on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Great. And what is item before us, Mr. Galanian? And if you can explain to folks why we're having this meeting that we hadn't posted the agenda for last week, the importance of it being in right now.
Yes, certainly. Mayor Kasakian, member of City Council, good afternoon. As you know, as you've seen and heard, in the last couple of weeks or so, we were impacted by a series of so-called atmospheric river systems that's impacted our city as well as the region and caused significant damages to our community that include mudslides, some local flooding, power outages, and damage to hillside fire roads. And all federal, state, and county governmental agencies have proclaimed a state of emergency. And this is what we're asking of this council to ratify that proclamation. And this will help us in our cooperation with these governmental agencies as well as response to these emergencies and in the future when we apply for funds for reimbursement. If you'd like details as to the site that has been damaged and our mitigation measures and measures that staff and our crews have taken thus far, I'll invite Captain Payne to provide that information for you.
I think that would be important for the public to hear what we've been facing. I think, please, Captain. And while you come up to the podium, I will say that we are all grateful. I think I speak for everyone when I say thank you to our men and women on the city staff and all our departments who, especially fire department, our public works, our utilities, that really pitched in to make sure that in most of our community didn't feel the impacts of the recent storms. Please.
Excellent. Mr. Mayor, members of council, city leaders, as our city manager eloquently stated, yes, atmospheric rivers, significant emergency for the entire state. How we responded to this was really as a monitoring situation. We activated our EOC at a level 3, which is the lowest level. We assembled a group of folks from our public works, water and power, fire and emergency services, as well as our police and our parks department to monitor the situation. After the brunt of the storm had passed through, we were able to do an initial damage estimate, and the county asked us to do that. And the reason why is because these estimates are compiled, a dollar figure is put forth, and then it's petitioned for federal funds. So if you'd like, I can share with you what some of those damages were. As our city manager stated, quite a bit of it happened on our fire roads. We estimate in totality about $750,000 to perhaps more in total damage to these roads, and that is a very rough preliminary estimate. These roads are impacted significantly over the years. However, with the addition of this much water, the erosion problems that we've had, we feel it necessary to take some mitigating actions in the future. We have not done any significant work to those roads because we're really not too sure about the stability and the safety of them yet. Most of the work that has taken place after the brunt of the storm passed through were restoration of water, alerting some of our residents in our burn scar area along the mountain, just east of the Brand Park, of a potential of mudslides. That did not occur. So we've been in a posture of leaning into this in preparing for what could be a potential emergency event. So that's where we lay right now. I'm still compiling data. We're sending out resources over the rest of this week to walk our fire roads, to drive them, to take pictures, and to thoroughly document.
All right, thank you. Any of my colleagues have questions? Yes, go ahead, Councilmember Devine.
Can you give us an idea of where these roads are?
Yeah, it's Brand Park, the Verdugo Mountains, straight up.
Up the hill?
On both sides.
Oh,
Then if you go to the San Rafaels over off Mountain and Camino San Rafael, significant damage to some of our trails.
yeah.
Duke-Majan has been looked at preliminary. We don't see a whole lot of damage there yet.
And in terms of damage, these fire roads are access points and ways of getting up the hill in case of brush fire or fire in those hills. Are they open for foot traffic now for people to hike? Do we know if they're accessible, or are there parts that have been rendered inaccessible because of the storm?
Yeah, good question. There are parts that are definitely inaccessible, and signage has been put in place. Okay. And you're absolutely right about us using some of these roads. I did a query on how many incidents we've had in the mountains over the last couple of years. We've had 88 incidents where we've had to access these roads. And so a lot of these roads now are damaged, and we're not really sure on as far as how we can access them. So ongoing assessment to determine how to make access to these areas where people recreate in.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah,
Councilmember
other
Bowman.
than just in terms of the emergency declaration process and what that actually does, I've always kind of wondered about this, and I'm sure a lot of people do. So I know it opens up some funding for us or for reimbursement. Does it do anything else? Or is it really about reimbursing the costs that we incur?
Mayor Katsaki, Mayor City Council, Councilman Brotman, the funding source is a major part of this proclamation of emergency, but as well as it opens the doors for collaboration with regional, state, and federal agencies and responding to these events.
And how does it do that?
Through our emergency personnel.
Yeah, I'd be happy to speak to that.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, we coordinate. As an EOC Level 3 activation, we are coordinating with the operational area, which is Los Angeles County. We compile situation reports. So collectively, all cities, all jurisdictions are compiling reports and evaluating who has the greatest need. Granted, our need seems to be most likely, or at the time, is in the mountains, not a big need, but there might be other cities that also have a need. And by our collaborating together, it allows for the opening of mutual aid agreements, perhaps, or other ways in which we can render assistance to one another. Yes, Councilman Brotman, funding is a large part of it. However, the recovery as well as that initial response is also a part of it.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Najarian, did you have a comment?
Let me go to the city. Is it appropriate to dig into this a little more, or is our only action today to,
Well, if it's related to the declaration of emergency or the
Yeah.
emergency actions we're taking, I think it's irrelevant.
okay. So I want to ask a question about Rockhaven and the damage to the buildings there. Is that outside the scope of this?
A little indirect, but I think if it's a quick question.
As it
and
relates
answer-
to public health,
Right.
perhaps? So I understood that there was some groundwater intrusion, and I'm concerned that that leads to the growth of black fungus, which is a highly toxic spore. I hope we're not letting people tour with black fungus on the walls. We don't want to get anyone sick or anything like that.
Mayor Kasaka, members of the City Council, Councilmember Najarian, currently there is no black fungus of any sort visible, but we are aware, we have, our crews have been out there, they've dried up the wet areas, they've fixed the leaking locations on the roofs, and they will take further action measures to make sure that the carpets and the facilities inside of facilities stay dry, and until such time that we are sure that there is no issues, no one will be allowed to tour the sites.
I think it'd be good if we applied for reimbursement to damage to that
We will definitely, yeah,
property
right.
if it is consistent with the declaration.
correct. If it meets the criteria, yeah, that's good idea.
I think that's, I also second that, and I see my colleague, Councilmember Devine, nodding in agreement. I think that if there was damage done to Rockhaven because of the rains, I know that it was already in somewhat disrepair, but it would be good for us to apply for that as well to help out with the rehabilitation. And thank you very much for a very informative report. hopefully folks will remain to be vigilant, because a lot of rain also means a lot of vegetation growth. And if we do not have continuous moisture and precipitation, that'll dry out, and then I know you and your staff and the fire department will be busy for other reasons, hopefully not.
Yeah.
But we appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Mayor.
much, and
Thank you,
thank you,
members.
Chief. So with that, we have a resolution for the city council ratifying the emergency services proclamation, director's proclamation for the local emergency. Who would like to make the motion?
I'll move the resolution.
Second.
There has been a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Al Sadrian,
Yes.
Brotman,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
and Mayor Kasakian.
Yes, thank you very much. So with that, we have no other specific items, and for those who are watching and may wonder where the council went later this evening, we won't be having our council meeting here in Chambers, but we will be holding a city council in your neighborhood in Griffith Manor Park, which is close to the south west portion of the city, I guess it could be described. It's off of Flower Street, Flower and Sonora. And folks who live in the Rancho, folks who live in the Pelanconi neighborhoods, and others who have issues or concerns can come out this evening and talk to us about what their concerns are for their neighborhood. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we stand adjourned at 4:14 PM. Thank you.